Alright, so today I'm going to show you guys how to program your TI-84 calculator to calculate LRAM, RRAM, and MRAM, so that way we don't have to keep doing it by hand over and over. So to do this, it's a long process, but we're going to get through it. So the first thing you want to do is click here on this program button. This is where we're going to find most of our tools for programming. So we click program, and we need to create a new program. So we go ahead and hit new, create new, and we're going to title that RAM. Now when you type on your calculator, you're going to want to push second and then the green button, second alpha, and that locks it so when you push these buttons, only the letters come up. So R, A, M, and hit enter. So our program now is going to be called RAM. The next thing you want to do is hit program, IO, and scroll down until you get to control home. So I clear home. What that's going to do is it's going to clear any previous data that the calculator has gathered. Okay, hit enter. That's going to drop you down to the next line. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hit program, and you're going to go to input. So that's under IO and input, and hit enter. And now we're going to type what your program is going to display for you to enter. So second alpha, quotation, and we're going to type in number of intervals. And the space bar is right here at the 0 button. Okay, after you do that, you're going to want to turn off alpha, so hit alpha again to turn it off. And then comma, which in the calculator's language is what you're trying to ask for, and then n. We're going to ask for n intervals, so push alpha, and then n. Then hit enter. The next thing we're going to ask for is our left endpoint. So program, IO, input, and we're going to ask for the left endpoint. So second alpha, quotation, don't forget to always close your quotation marks. Turn off alpha, push comma, and then we're going to let our left endpoint be L. And then push enter. Now we're going to ask for the right endpoint. So program, input, alpha, quotation, turn alpha off, push comma, and then alpha R. And then push enter. So now when we run this program, it's going to ask for the number of intervals, the left endpoint, and the right endpoint. The next thing we're going to do is type in a formula to determine the number of intervals. So this is alpha R minus L divided by, close your parentheses, divided by n. And then we're going to store that, as it really doesn't matter what letter you use. I'm going to use W. W will be our number of intervals. Okay, the next thing we need to do is program our calculator to calculate the left RAM, right RAM, and middle RAM. So it's going to be second list, and we're going to type in sum. So you go over to second list, scroll over to math, drop down to sum right here. And it's going to be our delta x, so the number of intervals, or the width of our interval, which is going to be W. times, and this is where we add up all of the heights. So we're going to add up the sequence. So second list operation sequence, and our expression is going to be y1, so alpha and then trace, so f4 and y1. Our variable is x. Our starting point is going to be our left endpoint, so alpha L. Our endpoint is going to be 1 delta x over from the rightmost endpoint, so r minus w. R minus w. And our step is going to be the delta x, so that's w. And then we hit paste. So it inputs the sequence for us there. You need to close it with 1 parentheses, and we're going to store that as the letter T. Hit enter. That's going to be our calculation. Now what we need to do is we need to make it display. So you go program, display, second alpha, quotations, LRAM, close quotations. Whoops. Before you close the quotations, inside of the display you want it to be hit second math to get equals, then close your quotations, and then comma, and then the letter T. Okay? So that's going to be the LRAM. Now we're going to calculate the middle, the MRAM, which as we know is the best approximation. So you go to, we're going to type in the formula for that. So it's second list, and we're going to keep the same expression, keep the same variable, but this time our starting point is going to be halfway in between L, the left endpoint, and our first delta x. So plus alpha w divided by 2. And our endpoint is going to be halfway between the rightmost endpoint and 1 delta x before. And then we're all set. We hit paste. We need to close 1 parenthesis. And we're going to store that as the letter T again. And the reason we can use the same letter is because it's going to overwrite it and then display it, so it's no big deal. Hit enter. And now we're going to do display. So you're going to hit program, go over to display, and we're going to type in what we want it to display. So second alpha, quotations, MRAM, hit second math to get the equal sign, alpha, quotation mark again, comma, and then the letter T. So alpha T. That's going to display our MRAM. Now what we're going to do is we are going to display the RRAM. So we need to go ahead and get the formula for that. So we're going to do second stat to go to list. We're going to go to math. And we're going to sum up. W, the delta x. And we're going to multiply that by the sequence. So second list sequence. This time our starting point is going to be L plus W. So our starting point is L plus W. And our ending point is just going to be R. And then we go ahead and paste that. Close a parenthesis. Store that as the letter T. And now all we need to do is make it display. So you hit Program, Display. We just got to type it out. So second alpha as the RRAM. I forgot the equal sign again. Comma. Then you want it to display T. And then hit enter. And now that we're all done, we need to stop our program. So to stop the program, you go to Program, and it's F. So you scroll down until you get to F for stop. And there you go. So you hit second quit. And now to test it, we're going to type in a function. So go to y equals. And let's type in a function from the notes that we just did. So let's use x squared. Okay, hit enter to make sure it saves. Second quit. Now to run the program, you push Program, RAM, and then hit enter. And it's going to ask you for things. Number of intervals. Well, we used 6 intervals. And my left endpoint was 0. And I went to 3. And if we check that from our notes, we get the exact same thing. And that's how you calculate RAM using a calculator.